Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Marvel Studios Echo. All episodes streaming January 9th, only on Hulu and Disney+. Rated TV MALV. Viewer discretion advised. Maya Lopez has betrayed her mentor, the notorious Kingpin. Now on the run, she returns to her hometown to prepare for the biggest fight of her life. Don't miss Marvel Studios' hardest-hitting series yet. An epic 5-episode event. Marvel Studios Echo. All episodes streaming January 9th, only on Hulu and Disney+.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Hey bloody friends, it is Thursday.
It is Thursday and it's time to drink some juice.
Juice only. Are you?
And spill the tea. We're spilling the tea all over you today.
Okay. Sounds a little.
It is. It sounds exactly how it is, and it is exactly how it sounds. Man, I put a play on words. I'm wordy today.
Y'all, we are glad to be back for a new month of Bloody Happy Hour.
Cults.
I just had an epiphany.
Oh.
I think, you know how you can go on Facebook and do a poll?
Yeah.
After each episode, we should put up a poll and they need to vote who is more likely to join the cult that we talk about. Me or you. So after you listen today, I want you to think about it and see who is most likely to join the cult that I'm going to tell you about today. Can that be a game?
Mm-hmm.
Will we remember to play it? Probably not.
Let's be intentional.
Okay.
And let's
Is
remember.
that your word?
Yeah, that is my word.
Did you just make that up?
I did.
That's her 2022 word.
Yeah. Be intentional with your thoughts. Be intentional with your words. And be intentional with your actions.
Can I tell you about my true crime book club meeting this week?
Yes. I'm so sad I didn't go.
You weren't intentional about the dates on your calendar?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
You know what? It wasn't on my calendar. And so I intentionally didn't know what I was doing with my but I'm going to be intentional for the next time.
Okay. Well, I don't even know when that is yet. So we'll see.
Well, you need to intentionally tell me.
So this month was cold cases. And so we brought in a special guest, and his name is Sheriff Terry Fuller. He's local here. And if you look him up, he's closed a lot of cold cases here in Waco. He's just a cowboy. He works with Sheriff Parnell McNamara a lot. So he came and he brought some goodies. And he told us basically how to go about a cold case. Everybody has their favorite cold case. So we talked about Missy Beaver's case just as an example of a cold case. And then there was the Lovers Lane murders in Houston that has been unsolved since the 80s. Still a cold case. And so he just kind of told us the ins and outs. So we're going to have a cold case unsolved month in April. I will have to intentionally bring him back so he can school y'all. But the best part was, he was a great speaker, but he brought some goodies. And Caroline, that business card I sent you a picture of?
Yes.
Now, I have to tell you, he was one of the guys that arrested David Koresh of the Waco compound. We ain't coming out. Branch Davidians.
Messiah Productions.
Yes. And he had 1,000 business cards. And so Terry was able to keep these, and he gave us one. And so I'll post a picture But read them. Read what it says, Caroline.
It says Messiah Cyrus Productions.
Uh-huh.
And then it says David Koresh, guitar vocals, and then it gives an address, and then it names a few other people.
Were like his sidekicks, like
Steve Schneider, music manager.
Yes, and I think
and
he
then
died.
it puts a phone number, and then it says
the back.
the back Revelations 10:5-7. I mean, it has a bunch of Isaiah, Micah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah.
So some of his favorite
verses.
Bible verses. And he just kind of told us a story about how when he was going to arrest David Koresh and then another guy, and they both thought they were the Messiah. And so they basically had to go to a courtroom and whoever one raised a dead body first was the innocent one because they were proving that they're the Messiah. So obviously nobody did.
Who did
they were just like, it was another guy. I forgot his name was George, I think.
Another guy within the Davidians.
And they both thought that they were the Messiah, which is Jesus.
Oh, they were like fighting over who was the Messiah?
Yes. And so they were just like, well, first one to raise a dead body is the winner, is the Messiah.
To like levitate a dead body?
No, bring them back to life.
Oh, I thought you meant like
only only the Messiah can do that.
Remember that game you used to play where you'd put two fingers under somebody and you'd like raise them up? I don't know.
What was that called?
Stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board, and they're supposed to like raise up. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Can we play that next time we have multiple people to play it with?
Sure.
See if I can lift me up.
Okay.
I want to be levitated. I'm going to be intentional about being levitated.
Please do.
But they died before either of them could bring somebody back.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember what it was, but it was so cool. I have a David Koresh's card. So everybody out there, you should be jealous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm glad I got a picture of it.
And then can you read my bracelet?
McClendon County Sheriff's Office.
Wait.
Cold case unit.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if you ever get pulled over, April, you better wear that at all times.
Wait a minute, I'm on duty.
Just like so she has this band on. I was thinking you could like stretch your arm out the window just so they could like see it.
Yes.
And then they'd be like, "Oh, are you McClendon County Sheriff's Cold
Please
case
let
unit?"
me go.
And you're like, "Oh yeah, I am." They're like, "Have a good day, ma'am."
What do you have?
Okay, I have this story. It's new about this girl, Lauren Smithfield, and they're in Bridgeport, Connecticut. She was found dead in her apartment in December, and now after they just police said it was an accident, and now they're finally starting to open up a criminal investigation. They're looking into it. So basically, what happened was she met this guy on Bumble. So this is another little dating app situation. So she's a social media influencer. So she like went to high school. She ran track. She went to college. She was currently in college, but she had like a YouTube channel, and she was healthy. She worked out, and she was like just happy and living. Like there was no signs of like her having any kind of like mental issues or any health concerns. Her family is saying, after they ruled this murder or death a accident, they're like, we're not satisfied with it. The police seem to do no investigating at all. So they also said that they were pretty rude to them, and they told the family to stop calling the police department. And like the headline of the news story was like, influencer dead of fentanyl overdose.
Oh no.
Yes. And like I said, she had no history of drug use. She was a healthy girl. And basically what it came down to was they said that a cocktail of drugs was found in her system. So we have promethazine and hydroxyzine and fentanyl and alcohol. So those things are basically phenergan and hydrozine.
So
Well, these are
nausea medicine, I think.
both of so Vistarol is like the street name for one of them, phenergan, and then fentanyl. So, those two are for nausea, for motion sickness, for anxiety, and fentanyl. I mean, we know how many overdoses now are out there about fentanyl. And so basically this concoction is going to make you very sleepy and very like lethargic, and basically makes your body relax. And it's great way to make a date rape drug. And so this is what they are looking into. And the guy.
And did he call 911 or how do they?
So this is what happened. She meets this guy on Bumble. He's this 37-year-old guy. His name's Matthew LaFountain. He says that he came over. They took a few tequila shots. She started feeling a little sick. They played some board games. They ate a little food, started to watch a movie. She got tired and fell asleep on the couch. He carries her to bed, lays her down in the bed, and then he fell asleep next to her. He woke up at 6:30 in the morning. He notices her nose was bleeding. She was cold, dead, not moving. He called 911. So from here, they basically were like, oh, it was an accident. Nothing happened. They contaminated the scene. The cops didn't question him. They were like, he just seemed like such a nice guy.
They took him at his word. Was he a Baptist preacher too?
Probably so.
Probably.
So the key to this is basically what I was listening to Nancy Grace, and she was like, so the evidence is there was a condom that was in the bathroom that was filled with semen, and the police didn't do anything with that. And there was blood on the sheets, and how she was laying, the blood was in the middle of the bed and she was on the corner of the bed, and it just didn't add up to his story, didn't add up to how she was found or to the blood that was on the sheets. So they're saying that the family is saying that the police gave an inadequate response and that it was compromised evidence and all this stuff. And they didn't even do a vaginal exam on her.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's
goodness
awful. So another little tidbit to this is that her brother, the girl's brother, in the middle of the night, came and at midnight, he went over there to they give her some clothes or something, whatever. The point of that is he saw her. She was seemingly fine. He didn't notice anything went wrong with her. He just met up with her. They gave whatever the clothes outside the apartment. He said if she was drunk, he would have been like, what's going on with you? He would have said something. She seemed normal. And then 6:30 in the morning, she's dead. That doesn't add up.
Did she say anybody was there?
No,
he didn't know. All that dating stuff did not even, the things that he said didn't happen. He just probably came in, raped and killed her. She probably rejected him.
I don't know. But the one of the key points to this is perpetrators who commit crimes like this are very strategic in who they target. And especially if you're on dating apps, it's a great way to target vulnerable people. She was much younger than he was. She was 23. He was 37. She didn't know him. He came to her house. So this is a great way to isolate your victim in order to commit sexual assault. And so we have to understand the grooming process of this, and that these people can take advantage of the vulnerable people. So just be aware of, not that
swiping right.
It wasn't the dating app. It's not that. It's just you being aware of what situation you're putting yourself into.
Y'all, this is the first story of our cult month. And I lied to you when I told you that we would be talking about the Branch Davidians.
Oh, did we say that?
Yeah, we said that at episode 1 last.
I feel like it's not really lies. It's just misleading.
I just told
and sometimes
story.
We just, get sidetracked.
Well, we had 2 big cases for January, and we're just a little worn out. So we're gonna save the Branch Davidians for a month that we can put all of our time in it. This cult today, we are talking about the Heaven's Gate UFO cult.
Oh.
Have you heard of it? Mike said,
I've heard of
Mike's heard
Heaven's
of it.
Gate,
he was actually a part of it.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, he looks a little cultish.
That's why he doesn't Nike shoes. He knows. He knows.
He does know?
Yes.
Do you have $5.75 in your pocket?
You did research? Damn you.
No, but I had to figure, because I got confused with Jonestown and the whatever his name is, who does that one and this one. So,
Jim Jones and
yeah.
No, totally opposite.
Yeah.
But let me tell you.
But I don't know much about it.
So this guy's name is Marshall Herff Applewhite Jr. He was born in Texas.
He was not the football player.
That is Major Applewhite.
It's very close.
I have said that, like rehearsing a couple times, so I hope I don't get sued. Major. But if this is your cousin, you should reach out to us.
I mean, Applewhite and from Texas. Why is all these people from Texas with cults?
I know.
The one I'm doing is not.
Okay. So he is born in Spur, Texas. Never even heard of it. In 1931. And his daddy was a Presbyterian minister. I don't know what Presbyterians think.
Well,
so
it's probably a Protestant, just like we talked about.
I don't know. Probably. And later on, later on, he went to Corpus Christi High School. And when he graduated there, he went to Austin College in Sherman, Texas. So that's right down the road. Go Roos. So if you went to Austin College, then a cult leader went to school with you. No.
Oh.
Austin College in Sherman, Texas is the Dallas area. That's Austin Community College.
Bye.
He got a degree in philosophy there and was a leader of several student organizations. So his leadership skills started early. When he graduated, he was like, I want to go be a minister. So he went to theology school where he joined and met and befriended Matt Baker.
Oh, that's joking.
I'm playing. I'm just making sure you're listening.
Oh, I'm fully attentive. I'm being intentional on listening.
So when he was there, he met and married a lady named Anne, and they had 2 kids, Mark and Lane. But he figured out, I don't want to be a minister. I want to be a musician. So he quit
Ministerial?
Whatever. He quit school to go be a minister, and he started school to be a musician because that was his dream. But he got drafted into the Army.
Oh.
Where he didn't have to spend a lot of time because he was honorably discharged just after 2 years. So then he was like, let me get my master's in music. And he went to University of Colorado. He went to all legit schools so far. So then he was like, I am going to be a famous Broadway opera singer. So they moved to New York, and he did all the tryouts and tried to be a part of all these theaters and plays, but he just wasn't good enough, and they needed money. So he got a job at University of Alabama. Ain't that the big one?
17 colleges?
He went to a lot. He was very educated, very smart.
Wow.
But he's teaching there now. He's a professor at University of Alabama. Is that the main one that wins all the time? University of Alabama? I would think. There's not another one. It's not Alabama State that's winning. Okay. So he was described as, listen to this, charismatic. He was a great speaker. He was a stylish dresser, and he loved the opera.
Tuscaloosa. Never mind. Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
That's
where it is.
Okay, bye.
But is it University of Alabama?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the same one. So, charismatic, great speaker, stylish dresser. He loved the opera. He loved theater. What does that sound like to you?
Sounds like a cult leader.
Sounds like a big mo to me.
A mo?
A homo.
Oh, did you say Big Mo?
A big mo.
A Big Mo.
He's basically Jack McFarlane off of Will and Grace. And people loved him because he was funny. He was charismatic. He had like a sense of humor. But he got fired. Guess why?
Because he was touching boys in their private parts.
He was having an ongoing sexual relationship with another student who happened to have a penis.
Oh, I did not even know that. As far as I got was $5.75.
And that student had $5.75 on him.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, he was humiliated because he grew up very religious and he didn't understand his feelings. He was frustrated because he liked boys and he knew his religion wouldn't allow it. And his wife, like, left him, as she should. Like, your husband has an affair with some boys.
With a student.
A student.
Number one, you're a student.
Sex.
Number two, yeah. And
it's like double whammy. Double
so
whammy.
he didn't convince her yet that it was acceptable.
No.
And that they were polygamous.
No.
No. Okay.
This is not that cult. This is that's a different cult. So he decided he was going to move to Texas and run away from his embarrassment. So he comes to...
Don't come back to Texas. We have enough embarrassment.
He was like, I'm going to go to Houston. I'll blend in real good there.
Yeah.
So he actually met a man named Dean Coral, Candyman Dean Coral, and they lived happy.
Are you kidding? Is this a comedy?
No, I just wanted to see your reaction.
How many times are you going to try to trick me?
Because you look at me with like amazement at first, and then you're like... So him and Candyman Dean Coral live happily ever after.
April.
Okay,
I'm
being serious.
No, listen, before you get serious, when I usually drink that whiskey, it always makes me into comedian. So that's what's happening.
Oh, yeah. We are drinking whiskey today.
Which one do I mix with it? This or this?
I'm not mixing it. I'm just drinking it.
Oh, that's why you're a comedian. That's why you're a comedian.
That's
Whiskey
what I'll
makes me number one comedian.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll get a deal. So
Probably.
In Houston, he started teaching at another college, and this college is called St. Thomas University. I've never heard of it. Go ahead and check it out.
In Austin? Houston.
There we go.
Yep.
So in 1971, his dad died, and he went to a deep, deep depression. And he actually ended up in a mental hospital because he was just kind of going down the drain anyways. He was embarrassed. He didn't understand his feelings. Then his dad died. So he went to a mental hospital, and he meets a nurse named Bonnie Nettles.
Uh-oh.
Okay. She also has an interest in theology, philosophy, and religion. She also has a charismatic personality. And they got along so well, they became close friends, and she insisted that they knew each other in a past life.
Oh,
and that she knew he was coming because some extraterrestrials, aliens, came to her and told her that she was going to reunite with an old friend from a past life. And this old friend had a divine assignment.
Oh.
So imagine being in the mental hospital and thinking you're worthless, your life is over, and somebody tells you you have a divine assignment.
I would be like, girl, tell me more.
So they actually research more, and they're researching alternatives to religion and traditional Christian doctrine. So they're like, there has to be more to this religion. Let's find some astrology and science fiction and see if there's any connections, basically. So they did.
Wow.
And according to them, they found a lot of connections. And a lot of Scientologists think so too.
Oh.
So also about this time, I guess he's not taking his medicine. He didn't take any fentanyl because he is having visions. Later on,
maybe he is taking fentanyl.
Maybe he is. Later on, they said that this was like part of his schizophrenic episodes, or this could be schizophrenic episodes, but he said that somebody came to him and told him that he was chosen for a role like that of Jesus.
That's a pretty big role.
So he should have had some of David Koреш's cards.
He
Messiah Productions.
Well,
they began to do this like astrology / Bible science fiction, and it was like Scientology, and they became even closer and closer and closer. And so when he got out, he moved in with her, and they went on a cross-country tour.
Van life?
Basically. But I don't think they had a van.
Oh.
And they were just telling others of their beliefs that they discovered.
Oh, they're prophesizing.
They were prophesizing. Is that what it's called? Prophesying.
They were intentional.
And they were telling everybody about what they believed. Okay. And they actually weren't couples. They were great partners. Like, they never had sex. Nothing ever sexual went between them. They just were meant to be with each other, but just as partners. So she was probably a lesbian. He was gay. Like, it just worked out perfectly. Worked out perfectly.
Wow, what a great match.
When they traveled around the country, they renamed themselves Bo and Peep.
Are you
Not
Little
shitty.
Bo Peep?
Like Little Bo Peep. Later on,
They called
changed.
themselves Bo and Peep.
Bo and Peep.
Joe and Creep. I can't even.
Later on, it turned into Guinea and Pig, and then towards the end, they were Doe and Tea, like the song we sang last week. Doe and Tea, because remember, he was a musician. So,
They weren't like yin and yang.
no, Doe and Tea. He was Doe. They had a pamphlet made. And so now when they're speaking, they would hand out this pamphlet. And this pamphlet basically said that Jesus has been reincarnated
Oh, wow.
into a skinny Texas man with blue eyes. Like basically like describes
So specific. Me as a
Doe,
man.
Bo. No. Basically like described Applewhite to a T. So they were trying to
Wow.
lead people to believe that he was the reincarnated Jesus.
Yeah, I would have
And guess
believed
what?
it.
They got their first speaker off of this. Their first follower off of this pamphlet, and this was like a
Okay, I'm going home making a pamphlet.
do it.
Okay.
You want some followers?
Yeah.
So there was a woman, and she was married. She had a newborn baby, a toddler, a husband, a home, a life. Right? She went to one session, and she left them. And she turned over all of her money to Bo and Peep, and she began to travel the country with them.
Listen, all you need is your first follower.
We might have been part of a cult, actually. So this woman like gave them all of her credit cards, all of their money. She left her family.
Were they in numerology as well?
They were probably.
Wow. Numerologists. Add it to the resume.
But then she kind of like started second guessing because she was like, they're stealing from me. They're stealing from other people. There's renting these cars and they're just never returning them. How can they really be cleansing and wanting to go to the next level? They didn't say heaven. They said the next level. If they're doing all this. So they let her visit her family because this wasn't a very strict cult as far as like talking to your family. So she wrote a letter and she was like, I'm coming to visit. And she came to visit and her husband was there and her kids were there and her kid was crying and her husband was crying and she decided to leave the cult. And so she never went back. And luckily she did. She felt really, really guilty. And Bo and people were like, well, that's fine. We'll get other people. And so they do. So now they're for some reason, they're getting invited to come to churches to speak. And they're just going and they're renting these like halls and they're inviting everybody in the community and they'll go to these small towns. And there was like a town with 300 people, but they ended up getting like 80 people out of this 300 to follow them and sign over all their shit to them.
Think this people just want to belong to something.
Yeah.
And so then they just are like, oh, this is something I can belong to.
Just like your Bumble guy, like they know who to target. So a lot of times they're getting these people like when they're vulnerable.
Do these cult leaders do they know really like, I'm really just like trying to.
I think they're just smart and they know, like, I think a predator knows prey. And so these people, they're charismatic. So you can go on and you can watch a video and I'm going to post some in the links and they'll speak and like you look at his eyes and his eyes are kind of mesmerizing and he's very good with his words. And so people don't walk out they're saying bogus shit, but because his eye contact and he's so sincere and he's so serious, they're like, he's got to be telling the truth. Plus, this was during the time where all this alien stuff and UFO and like mind reading and all that stuff, it's like new and it's exciting. So they made the regular Bible and Christian beliefs a little bit more exciting.
You know, I do get that about people who, when they talk to you and they talk to you intentionally and they like look into your soul through your eyes and they have a way with words and they like kind of smile while they talk, but like it's like sincere.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like melt and you're like, oh my gosh, this person's like really smart and they know what they're talking, you know?
Yeah.
I totally get that's why I could be in a cult. I could easily be talked into.
Yeah.
And now a word from our sponsors.
No.
So Caroline just admitted she would join this cult. So we don't even have to do the poll.
Listen, I just I won't make. That's why I don't make eye contact a lot. So I'm just looking away. Go ahead, continue with your story.
She's not looking at me now. Okay, so they begin calling themselves the UFO 2 or the 2. So if you read in the book of Revelation, Caroline, you weren't allowed to open up the Bible, but the other people who were allowed to open up the Bible, if they read in the book of Revelation, there's 2 witnesses that are referred to at the end of times, and they're the people that like got to witness the end of times, and so they're the only 2 people that know. So they said that they were reincarnated from those 2 people in the Bible. Then they were taken on the UFO, and then they were brought back to the world before it gets recycled to recruit other people to get on the UFO with him and go to the next level. That they know how the world is going to end, and that you can only be saved from the world ending if you follow them. Well, here goes 20 more people packing up their shit. And when they join them,
did they have to like move their house?
They left their house.
Oh my gosh.
And they're traveling right now. They're not living anywhere right now. They're just traveling, and they're like gathering their crew.
How make money?
When you joined them, you signed all your money and your credit cards and everything over to you're just relinquishing total control to them.
Well, that wouldn't be bad. I mean, I could get rid of some debt.
I don't know how legit and official it is, but you can't. So, okay. They're recruiting and they're getting more people and they're getting more people. And let me tell you what happens when you decide to join them. Sorry. You have to not only abandon your family, unless both spouse and husband decide to join. You abandon your family, you turn over all your money, and you are asked to cleanse your body of impure influences like fast food, sexual thoughts. There's no alcohol. Everybody looks the same. Everybody dresses the same. It's total equality.
Oh, this is a terrible cult. I would not.
So they have to do the master cleanse. Have you heard of the master cleanse?
No.
That's what we call it now.
I'm unaware.
Basically, you drink nothing but a mix of lemonade, cayenne pepper, and maple syrup. You have to drink it like by the gallons. And if like when Beyonce did it, she got to eat a little bit of food. When these people did it, 3 months straight, no food.
Oh, hey,
Your body can live.
I don't eat my food. I mean, I don't drink my food. I eat my food.
Gotta chew. So.
That's Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
In that role.
Oh. It's 1974, and Marshall Applewhite gets arrested in Harlingen, Texas. So that's down south, because he has a rental car that he rented in Missouri and just never returned.
Oh, geez.
He's also in trouble for credit card fraud because remember, he's using all these people's credit card. So he goes to jail, and the police are like, why don't you just turn in the damn car? And he said that he is, quote unquote, divinely authorized to keep the car. So screw you, Enterprise rental car. Screw you, Enterprise. I was divinely authorized to keep this thing.
No.
So the crew is growing, and it actually grows up to like hundreds of people, like hundreds and hundreds of people. There's almost 1,000 at one point in time, but it's not really, really humongous. So you got to think about all these people just renounced their worldly possessions, their career, their family, their friends, their homes.
And they don't get to eat food.
Their sexuality, alcohol, socialization, relationships, and all material possessions. If they were married, if they joined as a married couple, they were no longer married. There's no such thing as marriage at the next level. There's no such thing as male and female at the next level. So they are partnered with one male and one female. And
They're non-binary?
They were non-binary before we knew what non-binary was.
Wow, they were ahead of times.
And they would split up couples and intentionally put them with like random people. So it would be a random husband with another random wife, and then make sure that they did not engage in like sexual thoughts or sexual activities. And if they did,
What are they putting them
had
with
to
each
go
other
confess. If they stayed in places, they would have to room together.
Why
and
did-
eventually they do eventually get a place. So
I'm trying to listen, but I'm having a hard time not interrupting. Because I have so many issues.
it's crazy what these people
Yeah.
just believed.
Yeah, like you can't even stay in the same room with your husband or wife. You have to go stay with another husband or wife, and you don't even he or she or them.
And you
didn't even choose it.
Couldn't talk to them really.
You should be able
couldn't
to
have
choose it.
relationships. No, couldn't choose it.
No.
Nope. You can't do any of it.
Well, you can't even eat. You can't drink. You can't talk about sex or even do sex.
Nope.
Can't do sex.
Can't do sex.
Well, I'm out.
Caroline's house. Okay, so they also believe that aliens visited humanity in the past a long, long time ago and placed
Well, we've all seen E.T. Okay.
humans on Earth, and that they would return to collect a select few.
Oh.
And so they were trying to recruit the select few so that when the aliens came back
Yeah.
to get them, they could all go to the next level. The only way to talk to these aliens was via the show Star Trek.
Okay.
So they would Doe and T. They're Doe and T now.
Wait, they changed their names now?
Now they're Doe
Oh,
and T. They would watch Star Trek and they would come back with this divine speech and all these like what things that were going to happen. And the aliens talked to them through Star Trek or Star Wars. One of them. I don't know the difference.
I feel like one's a movie and one's TV show. I
Okay.
don't know. I never watched either one. Maybe Mike can tell us.
Well,
Maybe
he can probably tell us more than I'm telling you. 'Cause I think he was part of the
He
Heaven's
was
Gate
actually
cult.
in the cult, so he probably could tell us a lot.
They also practice equality and fairness.
Oh, that's nice.
That is nice, but that means that everybody had to wear the same thing:
Okay.
black
well,
pants, black
it's-
shoes, black or white shirt.
What do we do at Catholic school? You wear uniforms.
Basically a cult.
I said I was going to say I would love to have that, so I wouldn't have to think about what to wear. I'd be like, oh, I just get to wear the same thing every day. I don't have to
every day.
focus because that really stresses me out.
It is stressful.
I'm going to take a minute break from speaking.
Okay, so they had to wear the same thing. They had to eat the same thing. So if breakfast was a blueberry pancake and an egg white and a piece of sausage, because now their cleanse was over, everybody had to have one blueberry pancake. You couldn't have a buttermilk pancake. Your pancake couldn't be shaped as Mickey Mouse and my pancake shaped as a circle. Everybody's had to look the same. And when they cooked it, there was a specific recipe of how much everybody, like how you make it and how much everybody got. It was 100% equal and fair.
Wow.
The women had to wear their hair the same. There was no makeup. It was just very, very, very basic. And they were only allowed to have $5.75 on their person at all times.
And you're going to tell us why.
Well, there was multiple reasons, but the reasons I heard the most was, and if they were driving and they ran out of gas, they'd had a couple dollars to put in the gas tank, and you had quarters encased for the payphone in case you need to call. And that was it.
I heard, this is like the only part of the story I've heard, was that whenever they die, that they had to keep that money in their pocket because that's what they had to pay
For the UFO.
to be taken to the next level.
It did evolve to that.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
right now it's, you need this amount for when we're out, just in case.
Okay.
Then it changes. Okay, so they also had to change their name.
Oh.
So everybody's name ended in ODY.
Clog.
O-D-Y. But the first
Melody.
part had to be 3 consonants. So no vowels. So here's somebody's name. L-V-V-O-D. J-M-M-O-D. R-K-K-O-D. How do you say that?
Cody.
Okay.
Can I tell you?
Go.
I tried to not talk, but you pushed this on me. So there's this new game out. I don't know if you've played it yet. It's called Wordle. It's the new rage.
But you've been playing it because I've seen it on Twitter.
So Cheryl and me and Casey, we've been like sharing what. Anyways, Wordle is you have 6 guesses to get this 5-letter word.
Okay.
But if you get the right letter, it turns green. If you get the right letter,
The wrong letter, it turns red.
whatever, it's gray. One of them's green. Like it's the right letter in the right spot, it's green. The right letter in the wrong spot, it's yellow. And the wrong letter overall, it's gray. Anyways, when you say it ends with OGY, it reminded me of Wordle because some of the words, it's like, oh, I have 3 letters and I have to figure out the rest of the words. So then it related. I was like, okay, I've been playing Wordle, so I should be able to figure this out.
Well, consonant makes it really hard. But these new names set them apart from the worldly humans, right? We have basic names with vowels and whatever. And it also made them gender neutral because RKKOD, is that a boy or a girl?
Can't tell you.
They're gender neutral.
That's called.
Before it was even in, they were gender neutral.
Wow.
Look at this.
They and them.
So after they were like staying at campgrounds like around the world, they eventually, by the late 70s, they had inherited a bunch of money. So one of the members had a trust fund. Somebody died and that money went to them. So they're able to rent homes and rent houses. And so this made Doe and T seem like they were like really like on the top of the world. And so then they stopped speaking directly to the people. They would only send like videos or tapes, and they convinced their followers to totally submit as if they already haven't, but like a pet would. So totally like children or pets would, they're just supposed to totally submit. And they stopped recruiting because they were getting a little paranoid, and people were knowing about them a little bit more. So they didn't want the wrong people to come in and kind of penetrate. So they kind of stopped recruiting for a little bit. They had a big number. They were getting all this money. Now they had places to live. And let me see. Already said all that. Then they started wearing the same shoes called Nike. They wore black pants, black shirt, and black Nikes because they liked the slogan, just do it. But they changed it to just do it. Do it.
What?
Just do it.
What? Like, what does that even mean?
It don't matter. It's his name. He had to put his name in the slogan. Just do it.
How do you spell dough? D-O?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was the same slogan. He just pronounced it differently. Wow, that's so great. And okay. I guess
So-
those eyes, you can do anything you want.
By the 80s, he had told them they can have jobs if they approved the job. So they had like computer techs, then mechanics, and the job had to be like of benefit to the cults. And for some reason in 1982, they let them call their families because the beginning they were kind of flexible. Now they were like, at the beginning they were kind of flexible. Then they got really strict. No contact. You had to cut them off, right?
Yeah.
But by 1982, I think they were like testing, kind of like Cameron Hooker did and let them go home.
Yes.
So they said, you're allowed to go home for Mother's Day. Go visit your families. You can stay gone for this long. And if they ask you where you are, you tell them you've been in a monastery this whole time, like a little private place for monks. But this was a test. They wanted to, 1, see who's going to come back. 2, who was going to engage in sexual relations because they were going home to their spouses and their old lives. So were you going to be tempted by the worldly temptations? And then were you going to come home and repent? And I felt like he probably just wanted to hear what they did with their wives. Like, is a pervert.
So none of them were having sex?
Nobody's allowed to have sex.
He's not even having sex.
No. He hated the fact that he was gay.
Oh.
So he did not want anybody to engage.
Oh, so he didn't even ever.
No. It's totally opposite of most cults. Usually it's like
they're trying to multiply.
Yes, multiply, and they're screwing the kids and everybody's wives, and they got 20 wives. No sex is allowed. No sexual thoughts are allowed. That's why you had to cleanse yourself.
Yeah.
Do the master cleanse. Whether people deviated from the rules were not, like, I didn't get that far, but they were allowed to go and they were allowed to come as they pleased if they wanted to leave the cult. So I think about like Jim Jones. I was listening to a podcast where one of the survivors of the Jim Jones cult said that they just visited a church. And when you signed in, everybody signed in on their own separate piece of paper. So you would go in and you'd sign Caroline Wolf, right? Yeah. And you just gave them to the deacons or whatever. And if you decide to leave, they brought you to a room and they'd hand back that piece of paper with your signature, but it had something typed at the top. And it was usually a confession to some type of murder or child abuse. So this guy said that he didn't like where the church was going when he was part of the Jim Jones cult, and that he was going to leave. And they brought him in and they had a typed up letter with his signature at the bottom confessing to molestation and raping his daughters.
What?
And they said that they would turn that into the police department if he left and he would never see his family again. So that's how they kept them into the cult, because Jim Jones had connections with the police. He had members within the police and within the district's attorney. So he had a bunch of connections. So Heaven's Gate wasn't like that. If people wanted to leave, they were allowed to leave. If people wanted to come back, they were allowed to come back. It was very like open and shut, like open and closed door.
Bunch of swingers without the swinging.
I don't know what that is. I don't know. So,
cantaloupes, not pineapples.
Cantaloupes.
And now a word from our sponsors.
So by 1985, Bonnie Nettles died of cancer. And Applewhite becomes depressed again because this is his side. I mean, like his partner.
More dough. I mean,
there's no more tea. Now it's just dough.
And
right?
There's no more. What was the first name? What was their first name?
Bonnie Nettles.
No, their first group
Peep.
name? Yeah, there's no more
Peep.
Wow. Okay, now they have to do a full genocide or whatever it's called.
Yeah. So before, you didn't even have to die to get to the next level because the UFO was going to come and get you. You leave your earthly container body here and you go to your new body at the next level, right?
Yeah.
Well, now the teachings are slowly changing because he's kind of like going downhill even more. I don't know how you can get worse than this. So now he was like Christ, and the only way to get to the next level was through him.
Yeah.
He found ways to link the Bible with his beliefs. So remember Virgin Mary, I don't know if you know the story. Virgin Mary
I do know that story.
got pregnant, right? But she was a virgin. She's
Immaculate Conception, April. Immaculate Conception.
Well, according to Doe, she boarded a UFO. Oh. And that is how she got married. Yep. That is how she got pregnant. And then the UFO dropped her back off and she had this miracle baby, right?
Yeah, that's probably more accurate.
And heaven was actually a planet that you can only get to by UFO.
Wow.
And so people, like, it's kind of like not holes, but like more abstract areas of the Bible. So they like put meaning to it and people believed it. Oh, it makes sense, a UFO. I can imagine that. I can't imagine just immaculate conception.
True.
I can't
much rather
picture
imagine
it's easier to picture heaven as a planet than it is to picture you don't know what to picture, right?
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, I like this version.
Oh, yeah, that's a good version.
I like this. And that when Jesus died, he actually boarded a spaceship or UFO, and then instead of him rising from the dead, the spaceship just dropped him back off.
Yeah. That's probably more accurate. Yeah.
Not forget the tomb, forget all that other stuff.
No. It wasn't empty. It was never full, so it wasn't empty. Yeah.
So he also becomes more and more paranoid because he thinks the government's coming after him. Maybe this is after Waco raided David Koresh. I don't know. He thinks they're going to raid their homes. And so he wouldn't let anybody new in because he thought all the new converts were going to be spies and that they were going to try to take control. Plus, he was getting older and he knew he could kind of be easily overtaken if they needed to. So they went dormant for a while. And then in 1988, so 3 years after Bonnie died, they released a 12-part video series that broadcasted via satellite. And all these you can still go to, but they're just basically ridiculous. But now he's coming to the internet or to the media source back then. And this is his way of opening up to everybody and getting whatever followers that he can. And he refers to his people as, for the first time, as the Heaven's Gate cult. And he tells them that the world is about to expire. And if they want to go to the next level, then they have to join them. And that is the only way that they can get to the next level, which is heaven per se. So that aired and people talked bad about him. He did some interviews like on New York Times. I think he was like in People magazine, and they talked bad about him, and it kind of hurt his conscience a little bit. So then for the first time, he started talking about suicide. He was like,
you go to hell if you commit suicide.
He was like, not for him, because it's not really suicide, because this is just a borrowed earthly container. So you're just getting to where you should be quicker. And suicide is now the only way to get to the next level. So then they started going to class, and this is basically suicide class. Okay. So they learn exactly how they're going to do it. They practice it. It becomes like a routine.
How do you practice?
You practice what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So everything's a routine. Okay. So I'll tell you how they practice it as soon as we get to that point. So, but now it's just class. It's class. Because you're getting ready for the next level. You have to go to class to get ready, right? Yeah. So they're going to suicide class. They moved to New Mexico, and they're going to build an earthly ship or like their own compound, but that didn't work out. And they end up going to California, San Diego, and they rent a big, humongous mansion because they have this money now. And they had to be a little bit more strict because the next level is coming soon. So to suppress sexual desires more, they had to take the next step. And that was castration.
What?
The men chopped off their penises. Not all of them, only about 8 of them. But Doe was one of them. And I even looked up because sometimes castration is like your scrotum, like you do like a bull or a dog.
Like balls only?
Just your balls, yeah. They chopped off the real thing, their member.
Just sitting there?
No, they actually found a doctor from Mexico to do it for them because
Mexico. That sounds about damn right.
They asked some California doctors.
Can we put out a trigger warning, not for the suicide, but for the chopping the penis off?
Beware, trigger warning.
Trigger warning if you have any kind of fears about your penis.
Be it chopped off. Here it comes.
Here it comes.
He convinced 8
Were they under
other
anesthesia? I'm so concerned about this part of the story.
I mean, I would think.
I mean, did they go to the I can't. I don't even
These
know.
men were so happy to do this.
Okay, I bet they were.
They were
That's
so
great.
happy to do this because
They wanted vaginas because they were identifying as females anyway, so it's fine. Whatever. That's what I'm going with. So bye.
so now they're basically an identical non-sexual family because now the men they look just like the women. They're all just alike. So I kind of talked about, he hated himself. Now they're he hated himself because he was gay. And so he wanted everybody else to be non-sexual like him. They're living in California. It's time to get ready to evacuate the earth. He puts out one more message and he tells the viewers, this is your last chance. If you want to make it to the next level, come and join us in Rancho Santa Fe, California. And this whole time he'd been saying, this UFO is coming. This UFO is coming. They've even gone outside and waited for hours for the UFO to come and it never comes, right? So people do get tired of like his BS and they leave the cult.
Huh.
And so now there's only about 39 members. And then something called the Hale-Bopp Comet or Hale-Bopp. I don't know how it's pronounced. I didn't pay attention in astrology. Hale-Bopp.
Mike knows because he's in the cult.
He was like, I dodged that bullet.
I can't believe he was in the cult. Didn't even tell us.
I know.
We just had to figure it out ourselves.
They learned of the Hale-Bopp comet coming, and Applewhite believed that Doe believed that T was going to be riding on a spaceship trailing the comet. Like that's how she was going to get
dirty? Damn.
on a spaceship trailing the comet, coming back to get them. So he got everybody ready. And it's March of 1997. And all the group members recorded their farewell statements.
I'm just picturing the animation of it.
And Applewhite made another video stating suicide is the only and final exit. So on March 22nd, the suicides began after the Last Supper. So they went and had their Last Supper.
Wow.
They went to Marie Callender's in Carlsbad.
It was still open, I guess. Okay.
They
had their fettuccine.
all ordered the same thing: turkey pot pie and cheesecake with blueberries on top. I know that would not. I would not want that to be my last dinner.
I just threw up.
Everybody had the same thing.
Freaking Whataburger with mustard and cheese only and Sprite.
No. The waitress later said that everybody at the dinner was so happy, so polite, and they acted like they were looking forward to something. And they were. So when they went home, they ate some applesauce laced with fentanyl. No, laced with barbiturates.
What? That's basically fentanyl.
And hydrocodone. And now I guess they're allowed to drink because they also chased it with some vodka.
What's barbiturates and do they really have hydrocodone or did you make that up?
No, they did. Barbiturates and hydrocodone was mixed inside the applesauce. So they ate the applesauce.
But they knew it was in there?
And they drank the vodka. Yes, because they had practiced this. They've been going to class for a year.
Why do you have to practice eating applesauce?
You have to practice how it's going to go because it has to be very regimented.
Okay, let me practice.
Very ritual.
What happens after I eat applesauce?
And then they placed bags over their head. They wore black Nike Decade shoes, black uniforms with patches that read Heaven's Gate Away Team. Each body had a bag with a form of identification and $5.75. That was their
Mike's wearing
admission. That was their admission to get onto the UFO.
Yes, that's the only part I read. That's literally the only part I read.
The suicide took 3 days because they did it in waves. This is what they're practicing. 8 people helped 15 people commit suicide. They had to be placed in their bed perfectly. Their beds had to be made the same. They had to be dressed the same. These 8 helpers wrapped the bags around their head, tied it the same, and put their little baggies of money next to them. So the 8 people assisted the 15 people, right?
Oh, my.
And then another group helped the last 15 people.
How did the last people do it?
Then they just did it themselves. It was like
They didn't
Doe
have
and T,
bags?
yeah, like the last couple, they did it themselves.
Did they die from the applesauce cocktail or from the bags over their heads?
I think the cocktail made them pass out, but the bag made them suffocate. So I think
Oh,
it ended up being-
hell. This is terrible.
Total, there were 39 bodies, 21 women and 18 men. And their ages, he had cult members as low as 18, but the ages of the suicides were 26 to 72. And they were all found on March 26th.
Oh, my God.
It was the largest mass suicide in the U.S. All his
Wow.
videos went viral. Like, basically, he went even more viral after this.
Oh, my gosh.
There were 2 surviving members, and we still don't know, like, did they opt out of suicide at the last minute, or were they chosen to stay because they still operate the website? Heaven's Gate still it's the Higher Source Media Productions, and they have a website, heavensgate.com. And so I just wonder, are they actually recruiting, or are they just dormant? What's going on with Heaven's Gate?
I mean, they can't be without dough or tea.
So even so after this aired, after this was all over the news, some of the former members that quit early committed suicide because they felt like they missed out on it. So they committed suicide at home after they went back
With
to
the
their
applesauce?
families. Nope, their own way.
Oh,
And then hoping to board the UFO. Isn't that crazy? It's how brainwashed there was. So let me tell you about these Nikes, because I'm like, those Nikes went crazy. So
did you buy some?
they were a collector's item because they described to a T what they had on, and these were Nike Decades. These were basic ass Nikes. Yeah, we just call them
Those
real
are
basic.
yeah.
Like gangster Nikes. Very basic Nikes. Well, they became a collector's item, but Nike discontinued the style.
Oh.
And somebody found a pair in their storage unit in Arizona, and they put them for auction on eBay. They got $6,660 for them. But look, that's crazy.
That is so creepy looking.
666 is what they got for those shoes.
Oh, well, who bought them? Probably somebody else
Probably
who's
Heaven's
leading a
Gate.
cult. Oh my gosh.
And then
Oh, so they put bags over their heads, but they covered their bodies were covered with these blankets. So all you can see in their little cot is legs with the Nike shoes, and they're covered with the purple blanket, or covered blanket. That's so creepy looking.
There's a replica of this. I think there's one in Louisiana, and I think there's one in California. Like, you can go to a museum, and that whole setup of how the room, like the house looked for the suicide, there's a full replica there that people like tour and go see.
Oh my gosh. That is so creepy looking.
Okay, so I was thinking, like, what kind of state in life do these people have to be in to join this cult? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I was asking.
One guy was saying that he was doing a lot of psychedelic drugs at the time. So he was doing LSD, mushrooms, and he was always like in this in and out state.
Yeah.
And so a lot of his memory of it, he said it was the best time of his life. And because he was on and off these drugs, it all made sense to him. He eventually got out. Another couple was a black couple. If you look at these are like old, young, all different races. This black couple had been being terrorized in their town that they lived in.
Mm-hmm.
They had their house burned down. They had like crosses burned in the yard. They were ousted because of their color. And so now you have this sweet little white, mesmerizing, captivating couple that's saying, please come and join us. We want you. Everybody, it's fair and it's unity.
We're all
Everybody's the
non-binary,
same.
and we're all the same color.
We cut off our penis.
We cut
and
our
so
penises off.
they dropped off their kids to their grandparents and they
Yeah.
joined this couple.
Yeah,
They
for
joined
sure.
the cult, right?
Yeah.
Well, finally, the daddy, the husband, was like, no, I'm not about this life.
I want my
And
penis.
he left and he begged his wife to leave. And his wife is on video and she's just like, this is where I wanted to be, right? So he left. You know, and the next time he saw his wife?
Oh.
On that picture. On those pictures when she committed suicide.
He saw her legs in the Nikes? How do you know it was her?
He had to identify the body.
Well, at least he got to keep his penis.
And his kids. But it's just crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. So there's the Heaven's Gate cult, you guys.
Gosh. Listen, that was amazing. And
It's crazy.
I mean, yeah, it's just so like, you know, you don't really, I can't imagine how you get into that stuff. I just really can't. I mean, I get how you can talk to somebody and you look into their eyes and they like tell you, you know, and you like go into their soul, but not that deep.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to.
That's exactly what
Drink
Dirty
food.
Chad would do. He would like look you in the eye, and because he thought that we would really think that he was telling the truth if he looked you in the eye, and he'd talk real soft and
He has those
be
eyes,
so
those little, like
serious,
the
yeah.
eyes that like look like puppy dog eyes.
yeah.
You know,
And that whatchamacallit had these great eyes. Not Major Applewhite. Oh shit, he's a
Marshall.
quarterback. Marshall Applewhite had these great eyes, and he mesmerized people with them. It's about the eyes and it's about the eye contact.
Yeah, and if you're good looking, it's even better.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was a Mo.
Yeah. Well, Dirty Chad was good looking, so
Yeah. Even worse. Even worse.
even worse.
I need y'all to tell us who is more likely to join this cult, me or Caroline?
Who is it? Tell us, because we have no idea.
I have no idea. I don't think either one of us would.
Oh, can I give you? Hang on, I got to get into it.
While
Say
she's
something else.
looking
Yeah.
at it, I need you guys to do a couple of things. I just found out, I'm real late in the game, that you can actually rate us on Spotify. So if you listen to us on Spotify, you need to go and search us and go to our main page when you search us and then give that 5-star rating so that we can be rated on Spotify. Also, go to podcasts or Amazon or wherever you get your podcasts and review and rate us. Do them both. So 5-star, and then leave us a nice review, because when we record next week's episode, we're going to catch up on all of our reviews that we have. I would appreciate that so much. Also, we got a couple things coming up in April. I know that's far away. We're doing cold cases, unsolved. We know one that we're going to do. But if you have a favorite cold case out there, especially if it's not a big one that's talked about, that there's 100 podcasts out on it, if it's one that's not really known, send us an email at bloodyhappyhour@gmail.com and send us some links or tell us a little bit about the case, because we are kind of researching for that stuff right now. What else, Caroline?
I want to do a little teaser for my cult, the next cult I'm doing.
Okay.
So I just have to I'm going to tell them who it is.
Okay.
Or what it is. But this is just a teaser because it's so, it's not, you wouldn't expect it. I don't know. Unless you watch HBO documentary. So this is the Gwen Shamblin Laura.
Wow.
She was doing the Way Down workshop, the Way Down diet workshop. So how does a diet what does diet have to do with the church, right? Like, that's weird. So she basically transformed a weight loss program into an entire religion. How
Is it called Camp Gladiator?
It could be. How do you even do that? Like, so it's in the 80s. She founded this Way Down diet, like Way Down
Okay,
diet,
okay.
WEIGH. She founded this workshop. By the mid 90s, it was this booming business, and it was offered to churches across the country. So, and then in 1997, she released her book, Way Down Diet book.
Wow.
And the book ended up selling over 1 million copies. Yes. So she was able to take this massive following of spiritual dieters and use that to create the Remnant Fellowship Church, which she did in 1999.
Wow.
So this is what we're going to talk about. That's just a very tiny tidbit of the next cult.
Gwen Shamblin. What's her name?
Gwen Shamblin Laura, because she had recently went against everything she preached about and got married to this fancy guy. And
Don't tell us. You're
I know.
telling us the story.
I know.
Let's start it right now.
It's just so crazy, and all the things that happened with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you asked for it. There's episode 1 of Cult Month. We're going to have 3 more for you guys.
So yeah, what else is there?
That's it.
Yeah.
Go to all of our medias.
Let us know what you think about this one. We'll post about, you got to post some videos or something about this.
So if you look in the show
Do, re,
notes,
mi, tattoo, whatever.
if you look in the show notes, I will click some links to his videos. They're long. He loved to hear himself talk. And then
Look at you with the show notes.
on the show notes. And then if you go to our Facebook page, Caroline has posted some pictures of the suicide pictures. You'll see what Doe looks like. You'll see what T looks like. You'll see those blue eyes. And look for a poll.
Oh, yes.
All you got to do is choose April or Caroline. Or maybe neither. We will take that too. Maybe
Or
neither.
both.
Or both.
There we go. There we go.
All right, y'all. Don't forget to
Stay aware.
stay alive.
And always be DTF.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.